If you follow a lot of video production channels on YouTube, you probably see the term B-roll pop up in your feed a lot. A lot of people talk about it and how to do it, but they never really explain what it is. So what exactly is B-roll? Let's find out. On a typical nonfiction video, so a news story or a documentary or something like that, there are usually two kinds of footage. There's the primary footage. So on a news story, that might be the anchor or the reporter explaining what happened. Or in a documentary, it might be an interview with a subject matter expert. That's your main footage, your primary footage. And that's called the A-roll. On its own, however, A-roll can actually get really boring. Imagine watching a news story and it's just the anchor talking, no background footage. Or imagine watching a documentary where it's just a talking head interview and it's not intercut with footage that illustrates what the person is talking about. So there needs to be other footage in addition to the A-roll. And that additional footage, which is usually captured to cover what the person is talking about, is called B-roll. You have your A-roll, which is your primary, and you have your B-roll, which is your secondary. For example, now I'm talking over some other footage, so now you don't have to stare at my beautiful face for too long. Now, the cool thing about B-roll is that it also gives you an advantage from an editing perspective because you can make smooth cuts. Unfortunately, talking head videos usually aren't as fluid as we would like them to be. People need to stop to think, they need to reconsider their words, they need to stop and start over. And B-roll gives them a way to cut those together smoothly so that you don't really notice. For example, here's what that last segment just looked like. People need to stop to think, they need to reconsider their words, they need to stop and start over. And B-roll gives them a way to cut those together smoothly. In order to make that sound fluid, I actually have to chop out that gap in between. Now, if I put some B-roll over it, it actually looks like a smooth cut and it seems like I'm talking the whole time through. So putting B-roll over your A-roll footage not only creates some additional visual interest and helps keep people watching, but it also gives you kind of an editing hack to make a smoother edit. On YouTube videos and vlogs and things like that, including this one, it's pretty common to do jump cuts. So I can be talking, and if I need to stop and reconsider my words and start over, I can do that just by chopping, and you'll see kind of the visual jump, but most people are pretty used to that on YouTube, and it's not a big deal. However, if you're doing a professional production or a client video or something like that, you don't want to have a bunch of jump cuts in there. So you use B-roll to smooth it out. You could be doing a corporate video, for example, and you're interviewing the CEO, and then when he says something dumb that you have to cut out, you just throw some B-roll footage of employees walking around or working on computers or something like that to smooth out that edit. So that's really what B-roll is. It's additional footage you take that lets you add visual interest to your story and smooth out some of the editing process. On YouTube video production channels, however, B-roll has started to take on kind of a trendy additional meaning or an additional connotation, which is usually like a heavily edited montage with some music behind it. And there are different kinds of this B-roll. So travel videos use it a lot, and they'll show people jumping off waterfalls and blimps and all that kind of stuff to kind of keep it the visual interest while they're talking about this trip that they've taken. Often that's not pure B-roll. It's not really used over primary footage in the same way. It kind of is the primary footage. It's really just more like a music montage. But somehow that also came to be called B-roll. And so when you see a bunch of B-roll videos popping up in your feed, more often than not, they're talking about that, these like cool music montages, more so than they are traditional B-roll. But that's what the difference is, and that's what B-roll actually means. In most of the video production world, it refers to that secondary footage that you might put on top of your primary footage to kind of keep it visually interesting and hide your cuts. And also on YouTube, there's a secondary meaning where it's like these cool music montages. If you are interested in either kind of B-roll, or if you like video production stuff in general, I hope you'll check out some of the other videos on my channel, and you might even consider hitting that subscribe button.